I didn't grow up playing EverQuest. I wasn't there at launch. And I don't have any childhood memories tied to it. I found it much later on, in college, through a private server called Project 1999. A friend sent me a Google Drive link and just said, "Try this." I installed it, logged in, and immediately wondered what I had just gotten myself into. The interface felt old. Freeport was confusing. It took me almost an hour just to leave the city and to start fighting things. There's no map. The camera felt awkward. I had the wiki open on the second monitor just to figure out where I was supposed to go. But when I finally found my friend, him on a bard, me on a half-elf warrior, and we started fighting bats outside of the city, it felt like we were making progress. We conquered the first boss of EverQuest, getting out of our starting city. Little did we know what we had just got ourselves into. The first character I really attached to was a gnome necromancer. I remember logging in on a quiet morning, coffee next to me, slowly duoing some minotaurs in Steam font with my friend's enchanter. The pace was chill and relaxed. Aggro on mobs was fragile. Every spell mattered. Every death felt possible. Then, when my friend logged out, I made a mistake. I tried to go to a zone nearby, a home of the Wood Elves. I went there as an evil-aligned necromancer without understanding the implications around faction. I saw their city from afar and ran toward the lift. But as I approached, I was instantly killed on sight by the guards. I remember my heart was racing. My corpse was somewhere I couldn't reach. And at the time, I didn't even know how to ask for help. I genuinely thought my gear was gone forever. In most modern games, death is a minor inconvenience. In EverQuest, it was a lesson, a real one. That moment changed how I saw the game. It wasn't trying to protect me. It wasn't trying to keep me comfortable. And it wasn't going to give me everything all at once. The world existed, whether I was prepared for it or not. And that felt different. At some point later, a random player walked up to me and handed me a sword and some banded armor. The sword was called the Green Jade Broadsword. It wasn't a legendary item. It wasn't a raid trop. It wasn't like a fungi tunic or anything crazy like that. Just a sword that a guy had picked up the night before in the City of Mist. But it meant so much to me. In all of my years playing World of Warcraft, I don't remember a stranger walking up to me in a starting zone and just giving me gear. That kind of generosity didn't feel built into that culture. In EverQuest, it felt normal. And from what I've heard from others, it is. EverQuest players can be extremely generous. I passed that sword between characters, sometimes on my warrior and sometimes on my paladin. It wasn't just stats, though. It was a reminder that the world wasn't just systems and mechanics. It was people. And that stuck with me more than most loot drops ever have. The moment it really clicked for me was seeing how interdependent the world was. I'll never forget 1-800-Dial-A-Port. A guild of druids role-playing as a teleport service. They had macros, scripts, a whole call center vibe built around moving players across the world. In EverQuest, getting around is tough. But if you knew a druid or a wizard, they could teleport you to set paths in the game. You didn't just click a flight path. You talked to someone. You relied on someone. And their advertisements were heard far and wide. When I was ported to Otis and ended up grouping in the Warrens for days, it didn't feel like I was consuming content. It felt like I was participating in a living system. That's when I understood why people love this game. The world doesn't revolve around you. You just exist in it. For the past few years, I've mostly played hardcore WoW, and I loved it. And it was not because of the endgame. It was just all about the journey. Leveling independently, meeting up with some friends on the weekend to attempt a dungeon. There were plenty of close calls, some losses, and of course, starting over. It felt alive. But even in hardcore WoW, it's built on a foundation that smooths things out. It's familiar, structured, designed to keep you moving within the bounds of its theme park. EverQuest wasn't structured around my convenience. It was structured around a world. That difference matters to me more now than it did when I first logged in. I eventually stopped playing when I moved to China. The Great Firewall made it difficult. VPNs were inconsistent. The latency wasn't great. Logging in really just felt like work. Recently, though, I tried again. New VPN, better connection. I logged in, full screen, and the game didn't crash when I logged out of a character. It sounds small, but it surprised me. It made me feel like the world was reachable again. And now, with Monsters and Memories on the horizon, I see something familiar. A return to worlds that don't rush you. EverQuest gave me the lens I needed to see that. Worlds that create stories because of their friction, not in spite of it. There's always a part of me that wonders if I arrived too late. If I'm romanticizing something that belonged to another era. But the more I listen to longtime EverQuest players, the more I realize they don't want gatekeeping. They just want people to understand why it mattered. I wasn't there in 1999, but I understand now why people miss this game so much. It's the feeling of being small inside something bigger. And that's something we don't get enough of anymore. I'm not chasing nostalgia. I'm looking for a world that doesn't revolve around me. A place where progress feels earned, where other players matter, where systems create stories instead of delivering them pre-packaged. I felt glimpses of that in games like Valheim and Kenshi, but EverQuest was the first time I understood it, and that is why I respect it. I wasn't there at the beginning, but I get it now, and I think it matters again.